Speaking is a challenging skill for all students, but for many it is also a high priority for learning a language. In this video, we're going to look at some tips for making speaking practice a success. It isn't practical for most classes to speak in English all the time. Quick translations of vocabulary and grammatical concepts can be both effective and time efficient. However, to maximize opportunities for speaking, it's useful to establish exactly when you expect students to speak English. Some examples might be for students to use English for all classroom language, such as, "Can I borrow a pen?" And in vocabulary games, where teams can also lose points for using their first language. However, it should also be clear to students when they can use their first language freely. For example, in checking a grammar exercise in pairs or planning projects. Whether students are doing controlled pair work activities or having an informal discussion in open class, they need time to think, to prepare both the content of what they are going to say and the language. So after demonstrating, say, a pair work activity, try adding another stage before you ask them to speak. Ask students to think about what they're going to say before they start. In open class activities, giving thinking time is simple. After asking a student, count to 5 in your head. It is often tempting to fill the silence by repeating or rephrasing a question, but try to resist doing this unless absolutely necessary. And if a student still needs more time, but you want to give someone else an opportunity, end the interaction on a positive note. Say, "Can I ask you again in a minute?" And make sure the student gets an opportunity to try again later in the lesson. We all know that practicing speaking involves making lots of mistakes, and correction is a necessary part of this. But it's important to differentiate between speaking activities which focus on accuracy and those which focus on fluency. When the focus is on students speaking accurately, you might choose to correct their mistakes yourself. Alternatively, getting students to correct themselves or self-correction will make them more aware of their mistakes and as a result less likely to make the same mistake in the future. For instance, a large S on a piece of card on your classroom wall can prompt students to self-correct a very common mistake, leaving out the third person S. When you hear students do this, point to the S, give the students time to think about why you are pointing to it, and then encourage them to self-correct. You can develop other signs to prompt this kind of correction, or even hand gestures to prompt, for example, past tense. On the other hand, a discussion, say, about school uniforms is a fluency exercise. Interrupting students to correct their mistakes, or even encouraging them to self-correct, will discourage them from participating. Instead, make a quick note of errors and good examples of language too, and keep them for later review, perhaps at the end of a lesson as a game.